Well, today is Friday, the 16th day of November 2012, and I hope everyone had a good week and a great weekend. And we'll take a look at silver on two different time frames, daily, weekly. But before we do, there's an article I found on CNBC entitled "Are Investors Actually Taking the Fiscal Cliff Too Lightly?" And I want to go over three paragraphs. So let's do that. A quote: "I'm concerned, but I'm confident both sides realize that we're going to have a compromise," said Joseph Moran, Senior VP and Health of Wealth Management for Oppenheimer Funds. "The last thing either side wants on their plate is to be responsible for another recession. And another recession is almost a certainty if Washington chooses to continue to play politics and go over the cliff." End quote for now. So we'll go over the next two paragraphs in just a little while. And I don't know if I'm reading the stuff about fiscal cliffs and the world politics, or if I'm reading something about the NHL lockout, because, you know what, it's pretty much the exact same in my personal opinion. And I say that both sides realize that we're going to have to compromise. I think the NHL, two people there, realize the same thing. The last thing either side wants for their plate is to be responsible for another canceled season, as there was just about less than 1 decade ago. And going back, now another reason recession is almost certainty if Washington chooses to continue to play politics and go over the cliff. And you just got like the words that they use, like a little cliff, although, you know, I'm going to talk more about that in the second paragraph because they got better words in that one. So, quote, "The risks involve $600 billion worth of spending cuts and tax increases that will take effect unless warring Democrats and Republicans agree to deficit reduction targets," end quote. You still have the word Democrats and Republics like there's really any difference, but I'm sure you've heard other people talking about the same thing in the comparison of Democrats and Republicans. But agree to deficit reduction targets. Do you know what I've just agreed to today? I've agreed that I'm going to take a frozen lasagna out of my freezer, place it in my refrigerator for 90 minutes, come back, take that out, cut the baby up, and serve the hot, beautiful meal with my refrigerator at 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It doesn't make sense because it's against scientific natural law for that to be the case, as it is for deficit reduction. When you have a mathematical system where central banks are the only ones that are allowed to mine fiat debt notes that are guaranteed to exist, guaranteed to cause exist, thus guaranteed for people to have troubling times. I don't know what's more concerning, the fact that this stuff is still going on, or the fact that people can't understand even remotely that this stuff is 100% guaranteed. It's been many years since this information's been out, but you know what? There's more important things to do for some people. Justin Bieber's on E-Talk Daily tonight. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. The cliff is less a black swan than a hovering falcon, a bird of prey that will not sneak up on the market, as was the case with the 2008 financial crises, but rather has been in plain view for months. Yeah, well, I'll tell you something that's been in plain view for a long time. Actually, no, I'm not going to. But you should be able to figure out. Okay, on to the charts. On to the charts. Daily silver chart. Yeah, I've been talking the same thing in my previous video. So if you have not watched it recently, I'm going to leave what I've already talked about over the last 5, 6, or 7 days about this breakout, this rising 18 average, yada, yada, yada. However, one thing I haven't talked about is this upper band. It's now flat. And, well, I guess for it to go up, it's got to break this significant resistance. And for it to go lower, it's pretty much got to break below this 18 average of lows and really either stay below it for a day or two, or a decent amount, or, yeah, a decent amount breaking below 30 kind of deal. But we'll see how this thing goes goes into play, because right now, overall short term, it's really indecisive. I'm not all that indecisive long term, but I'd have no idea what the next 5, 6, 8, 9 days are going to be, which a lot of times when you look at the charts is exactly that. And, well, that's why if you're looking for setups, sometimes you just wait and wait and wait like a hawk waiting for its prey. You time it when the time is right. One thing that I found for the time being right is that this overall price action shows that it's been manipulated for so long. I'm not going to show more longer term charts, but I feel it's that time now to say, time to exit out of a fiat currency, guaranteed to cause debt, and all the unbeautiful things a debt-based system would bring. But with that being said, I talk about games and game theory, and one of the games is like a game like Magic or any game where one team does their duty and they pass the dice and the other team or the other player does their duty. So I've referred to this a few times. So we'll talk as the one team as the Bulls and one team as the Bears. Da Bulls or da Bears. Anyway, you got this low, you got this high. So the Bulls come in, they make their play. The Bears bring it down, the Bulls bring it up, the Bears bring it down, and you get the idea. And that's why when it was down, I said, well, the Bulls are going to have a turn. Well, they had their turn. And now the Bears, I don't know if their turn's over, but they're having their turn. And one thing that I've been mentioning is that it doesn't need to make this higher low from here, and it didn't. That's fine. But it's got to make a higher low and then a higher high after that. Because if it doesn't, that's bearish. Because it's both bullish and bearish for it to sell off here. But it's only bullish if it makes the higher low and follows with the higher high. It's bearish if it makes a lower high, say here, and then continues making lower lows, ultimately breaking down below 26, if, of course, that's the case. With that being said, if a pattern, keyword if, goes up like this, say we bounce up here, say we fall down to 33 or something, or 29, 33 I should be saying, or anything in that area, I'm going to consider the turn from here to here to here to here, if it looks something like that. So just because it has established this low, broken or went higher just a little bit, I'm not going to be saying that this is a lower low from this pattern yet. I think the key number will be roughly 29 and low change. 29.33 is about significant Fibonacci level. I think there's reason to be concerned if it goes down to 29.33 that the paper market or the what some people call the fraudulent market could be having that major wave lower. But I wouldn't even consider it even a remote possibility unless it can hold and stay below 28 even for more than 3 or 4 days, or breaking below 26 and staying below there for about a day. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Take care.